Now that you have Minitab open to GB21 Gage R&R Study, let's take a look at the worksheet and see what kind of information we have. We've got a column for sample, a column for operator, and also a column for the Sheen values. If we want to get a feel for what we already have in this worksheet, a quick way to do that is to go up to the big blue eye and click on the big blue eye. It shows us that we've got 120 data points and there's none missing. You can scroll through it. We've got Charlie and we've got Peter and we've got Jan and John for operators. We've got 4 operators in this particular study. At 30 samples each, 120 total samples. Let's do the analysis. Pull down the Stat menu. We'll go down to Quality Tools and we'll go to a Gage Study. And we want to select Gage R&R Study Crossed. So perform Gage R&R studies with cross designs. That's what we want to do. So our part numbers are in column C1 for sample. Our operators are in column C2 for operators. And the measurement data is the Sheen data. The gauge information, we are evaluating a Sheen gauge, which gives you an idea of how shiny a particular surface is. And this is for evaluating the final finish coats of lacquers and polyester finishes that are on furniture. So they should have a certain Sheen value. So the date of the study is, in this particular, we'll just say today, and I'm the one that reported it, and we'll say OK. Options. Now here's where you could put in your upper and lower specifications if you had them for a particular value of interest. So if you had an upper or a lower or upper and a lower specification for a particular characteristic based on customer requirements, you could put that in. Well, let's perform our analysis and see what this Gage R&R looks like. Well, here's the Gage R&R graph. We've got some height here in some of our percent contributions for either Gage R&R, repeatability, and reproducibility. We'd like to see these topping it out, which is our variation associated with the part-to-part variability. We are seeing that we've got a couple of values that aren't falling within our upper and lower control limits on the range chart. The control chart down here, we expect that this is going to go bouncing up and down with very few points falling within the control limits. So it's a little bit of different interpretation than what you would see in a normal control chart. And here's a track of the operators and parts and if there's any interaction going on. And we'd like to see these just completely cover each other up so that we don't see any differences there. It looks like in our box plot for each of our different operators, they look to be about the same amount of variability, so that's a good thing. And then this is the individual box plots for each of the 10 different parts that we were being evaluated, and each part was measured 3 times each by each of the 4 different operators. Let's look at the session window and see what the statistics look like. So if we scroll up in our session window, and what we want to get to is, here is our analysis of variance, and we'd like to see p-value of 0 or 0.05 or less, and we're seeing that for the sample. The operator and the sample times operator, we would like that to be with a larger value of a p-value. Oh, I can't move over here. Here we go. Sorry about that. All right, so the p-value is less than 0.05 for the parts, which means there is a difference between parts. And we have p-values greater than 0.05 for both the operators and the operator-part interaction, which means there is no difference there, and that's what we wanted to see, no difference there. Our percent contribution, 12.71%. We would like that to be less than 9%. Less than 1% would be fabulous. And if I look at our percent contribution for total Gage R&R on the study percent, that's right here. We want that to be less than 30%. Less than 10% would be terrific. We're at 35.6%, so we need to do some work on this particular gauge. So this is Gage R&R on continuous data in Minitab.